There is a fifth dimension.
About the unknown.
Beyond that which is known to man.
The Garden of Thought.
The Babylon Project was our last best hope for peace.
Unexplained.
Mythology.
This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call
The Garden of Thought with Jeff Lippman.
Eventually, our sun will grow cold and go out.
You're listening to something much bigger, something hidden in plain sight.
It won't just take us. It'll take Marilyn Monroe and Lao Tzu and Einstein. All of us was for nothing unless we go to the stars.
What you're about to learn will completely change the way you experience your mind, your thoughts, and yourself.
Let's make sure that history never forgets the name.
The Garden of Thought.
Welcome everyone into the garden, and we're welcoming back in returning guest, probably his fourth or fifth appearance here, and the birthday boy, Bernie Taylor. Happy birthday, Bernie.
Yes, thanks for the birthday wish. I turned 61 today. 61 today.
Okay, that's better than 91.
I'm almost 61. I used to say I'm almost 6 foot. Now I say I'm almost 5'11", so I'm shrinking. If I keep shrinking, I might be too short for podcasts.
Wow. True story. True story. I'm pretty sure I was 5'8.5", like until I graduated high school and maybe beyond that. And now, without fail, for like the last 30 years, I've been 5'10" exactly on the dot. So somehow I grew post, sort of college-ish or, and got taller. And my foot got bigger too, which I guess is not unusual, but my foot size went from like 9.5 to like 10.5, which is also weird later in life. So anyway, obviously I'm an aberration, and that's fine. But I'm really excited about having you on the show today because this is one of the things that's been on my to-do list, and that is to cover the Basques. And I was going to have Mike Hillier do it from the Red Line podcast. He's like, it'll take 20 minutes, dude. That's not much of a show. I'm like, okay, well, that's disappointing. But, I can babble on. And then you told me that you were studying like the mythology and the folklore and all of that. I'm like, fantastic. Good enough. And so I guess for those who don't know, and listen, all I know about the Basques, there's a little bit that I've read. I read The Sun Also Rises, which I think was Hemingway, and then there was a few other techno thriller books where one posited the Basques had more Neanderthal DNA, which is in hindsight quite racist, but it was still an interesting book. And the Basques are a people that basically lived between the Spanish and French borders, or overlap on both, and for a long while wanted their own homeland, maybe still do. Apparently that's quieted down some, but one of the original enclaves in two countries that at least we knew about in the West, because Spain and France are both in the quote-unquote West. But apparently their language is an isolate. It doesn't relate to other languages. And their religion seems to be as well, sort of like the Minoan, sort of a little bit interesting and unique. But we're going to learn more from Bernie Taylor today, who usually takes us in all sorts of interesting adventures, and sometimes by talking to me, we stumble onto things that put him onto other interesting adventures, which is always a point of pride for me. Anyway, I've been going on for a bit here. Bernie, correct and clarify whatever introduction botchery I've done.
Yeah, you did a pretty good start in that one. And the friend of yours that does the 15, 25-minute presentation, that is what normally people know of the Basque.
He is normal.
The Basque have a very complicated, deep history as well as recent history past. When most people look at the Basque, they look at really within mythical Iberia. At least their narrative is of mythical Iberia. They bring all different peoples and all different stories into their narrative. And you could even look at Homer. Homer, we did a session a few weeks ago, and in the Odyssey, the land of the dead would fall within the Basque country, or at least mythical Iberia, whether it be the eastern or the western shore of the peninsula.
Am I reading Cimmerians there with the sea, like where Conan the Barbarian was supposedly from?
I believe I don't know the Conan barbarian story, but the land of the dead for Homer in the Odyssey is either on the Mediterranean or the Atlantic side of what we would call Iberia.
Okay.
So a lot of myths and legends fall into that space. And in the last session we did, Odysseus goes to the land of the dead where Tiresias foretells his future. And all the things he shouldn't do or things he should do. And of course, in the end, he doesn't take responsibility for anything that happened. They're all the foibles of his crew and the monsters in his mists. Okay. And that's how that ends up. But again, is that Iberian mythology or is it Greek mythology? It's a good question because people mix these things up together. And then, of course, Hercules or Heracles, if you're Greek, he traveled to the Red Island, Erythea, where he stole the cattle of Geryon in his 10th labor. Okay, that is currently Cadiz or Gades. People would think of Seville as the nearest area if you travel to that part of the world.
Yeah, Cadiz, the island of Cadiz, it's a big vacation spot.
A big vacation, a very big vacation spot.
I mean, it's no Ibiza.
And we're in Iberia.
Yeah.
Is that Greco-Roman mythology or is it indigenous?
I think that in a lot of ways you could probably call mythology Mediterranean, and while a lot of the names and characters change, that you probably wouldn't be all wrong. There's certainly some certain differences, but one could probably reconcile all of the mythologies from the Mediterranean if you were patient enough and judged it over the course of time.
And that would be a great conversation among two Americans, but if you had that conversation in a Greek bar, they probably wouldn't be so happy with the idea, because they would say, well, this is Greek mythology. Heracles is Greek. Why would you even think of Heracles as Iberian mythology? And that is truly the question that we're going to explore today within the context of Basque mythology. And there's a reason why people have mixed all these myths up together. It's because Iberia, or what we call Spain today, is a long time ago conquered land.
Hold on, it's not just Spain. We got Portugal on there also.
Oh, Portugal too. We put Portugal in there. So going back in the timeline, 5th century CE, the Moors, Germanic people, the Vandals. Before them were the Romans. Before them were the Greeks, the Celtic people. Before them were the Phoenicians, so we're talking 12th century BCE. And then before them was the Bronze Age. So Bronze Age people had conquered the Iberian Peninsula. They left a lot of artifacts. And how do you separate them between the two might be a little difficult. We're going to take a shot at today. Now, I'm going to put this, there was a Spanish priest, the Father Jose Miguel de Barandarian. He was an ethnographer, and he was a Catholic priest. So as I give this presentation today, I'm not speaking on behalf of Catholics. Okay, I'm speaking on behalf of the Good Father. And he said, let's start with the Basques. And the Basques are in the far north eastern corner of Iberia. intersecting both France and Spain. The Good Father wrote many books about the Basque. He lived among the Basque. He wrote books about he wrote a dictionary of Basque mythology. The selected writings of his work have been published in English, which is my primary source. And he wrote many books about the mythology of these.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the titles and I see that the word Vasco, which must be the translation of Basque in I guess Spanish. But was Vasco da Gama, was his first name basically the Basque?
No idea. No idea.
Okay. I mean, it's the only Vasco I know.
I don't know. But many of the navigators on the ships that sailed to North America and around South Africa were Basques.
Okay, well, there you go.
Magellan didn't finish his voyage. His Basque navigator.
Right. The pilot. I remember. I forgot his name, though, of course.
He was Basque.
Yep.
Now, the Good Father, Jose Miguel de Bardarian, he said, he's not just studied the Basque, or was an ethnographer who lived among the Basque and wrote down their mythology, their folklore, but he was also an early anthropologist. He studied the artifacts, he entered the caves, that sort of thing. And he said, the question about the origin of the Basques as a people who emigrated from another country is meaningless. The question to ask would be, from where did Cro-Magnon man come from? Now, I need to define what is Cro-Magnon man.
Yes.
100 years ago, we called Ice Age man Cro-Magnons. That's what they were called. Maybe actually 90, 70, 80 years ago, we called them Cro-Magnons. And that word changed in more modern times to the early European modern humans. Okay. They were the Paleolithic hunter-gatherers originating from Africa. So what the Good Father is saying is they're Basque. They're Basque because the skulls and the bones and everything from that time period that they were dug up, they look like Basque. So why were we asking where the Basque come from someplace else, but rather the Basque were the people there who had originally come from Africa. And that was the Good Father's perspective. Now, the archaeology that he was relying on has since changed. But we're going to get back to that shortly. He's right, but not for the reasons he thought he was right. So going back 50,000 years ago in Iberia and Franco-Iberia, France and Spain, to 12,000 years ago, we had hunter-gatherers, and these are the early European modern humans that were formerly called Cro-Magnons. After them came the Mesolithic period, where you had hunter-gatherers 10,000 years ago, and Ice Age art in caves ends. Okay, so the Mesolithic hunter-gatherers had no cave art. It was purely a Upper Paleolithic phenomenon. And then Neolithic farmers come in from across Eurasia. Think of Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, what is now Turkey. They came in about 7,000 years ago. And that becomes, so agriculture did, as we know it with grains, did not emanate from Iberia. It came from what we now call Anatolia.
Right.
Now, the Good Father was a fairly interesting character. He, being a proponent of the Basque, an ethnographer of the Basque, he was opposite General Franco, who won the Spanish Civil War. So the Spanish Civil War is 1936 and 1939. Franco was in power for more than 30 years. To live in Spain at that time and be a prosperous person, you had to be on Team Franco. Franco came to power through the Spanish Civil War with the aid of Rome and Berlin. And when I say Rome and Berlin, I mean Mussolini and Hitler.
Okay.
It would have been completely impossible for Franco to have won the Spanish Civil War without those two. There was an established democratically elected government, the Republicans, and Franco had a coup. And he was stuck, he and his armies were stuck in North Africa, where he was stationed. It was the Germans that flew them onto the Iberian Peninsula to fight the Republicans. Okay? Would never have happened. Now, the good father lived in exile from the beginning of the Spanish Civil War to 1953. Okay. So he could not live in Franco's Spain because he was not on that team. Whereas the Catholic Church in Spain was solely, squarely on General Franco's team. General Franco, he nominated all of the bishops. Okay, and that remained in play until Vatican II in the 1970s.
Well, that's what autocrats do. They unite the church and state, at least under their power umbrella.
Exactly. And most people know the Spanish Civil War not of Franco or the Good Father, but they know from the painting Guernica from Picasso, which itself is another presentation.
Or from The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway.
Or The Sun Also Rises, yeah.
Which I read, so if I read it, a lot of people probably read it.
Exactly. And those are the narratives that we know of the Spanish Civil War. But it was a war between...
Oh, wait, was it Hemingway or was it F. Scott Fitzgerald? I don't know. It was one of them.
So it was For Whom the Bells Toll was Hemingway that wrote about the Spanish Civil War.
Then I read that.
You read that, you don't.
I also read The Sun Also Rises, but clearly don't remember anything about it.
Which is in the cave. The story is told in the cave, and they're Republicans fighting back.
See, I read them both. There you go. I do remember, sort of.
Yeah. Now, this narrative is quite interesting that we're discussing. We start off with Homer, and we talk about Hercules. Well, that's the way that Spanish people are taught about their history and their mythology today. The Spanish people see themselves as an export of Greco-Roman history.
Who doesn't?
The way today, it's Western history today. And when you were a kid, and probably kids in school today, learned about American history starting with Columbus, right? It's a story. And then we heard the Liberty Bell and the Pioneers and MLK, all good stuff, all very important American history. But is that really American history? How many of us have learned about the Native American mythology around their narratives?
I've been trying.
Of course,
I've been trying, Bernie. It's hard. I've gotten some, but not as much as I would have liked.
Exactly. And of course, Columbus didn't discover anything. Columbus was lost. So we have the same psyche, Western history psyche, as do the Spanish.
Yes, we do.
We can't blame the Spanish for not being pro-indigenous peoples. Because we are not as well. Now, the Good Father, as I say, he lived among and studied the Basques, and he approached them not as a priest, but as an ethnographer. He was an early ethnographer. And I've read his works. He's very balanced. He doesn't approach the subject as, well, this is contrary to Catholic belief. That's not, he says, this is what the Basque people say. And he said among the Basques that there's a world of gods, okay? Very similar to Greco-Roman mythology, a world of animate spiritual beliefs. And we'll go through all these things. And everything is named corresponding to a reality, okay? And the chief among the gods is actually a goddess. It's the goddess Mary.
Okay.
Mary holds sway over all the other spirits, all the other deities. She's associated with fire, and she controls the forces of nature. Now, something very interesting about Mary that it doesn't really fit. Mary is always described as having golden hair. And people today describe that as having blonde hair, or they picture it as having blonde hair. Was Mary blonde? Mary actually blonde. Because people in the Basque country aren't blonde, okay? I've been to Cantabria and I've been on the border of the Basque country. There's nobody that's blonde there, unless you're a tourist at a bar or something.
Sure.
There's just no blonde people. It's not a thing. They're dark-haired people. Now, if you go to other parts of Iberia...
Yeah, but if she was part of everything, maybe her head represented the sun, then maybe her hair was like the sun rays. Also, I thought you were going to go somewhere else with the interesting part, and this might be just me generalizing too much, but Mari sounds like Mary or Mar, which basically means ocean.
No, we're not there yet. You're jumping ahead.
Okay, sorry,
so
bad name.
There are blondes in northern Iberia and northern Spain.
Sure.
The Celtic people.
Sure.
The Celtic people. And they're in the Vigo area, the Camino de Santiago, where people finish the pilgrimage. They would be in the far northwest corner.
I think we understand when you say there's no blonde people there. That's hyperbole. That the blonde is not the normal color hair of people in Basque country. You know, it's a.
Oh, it's not just not the normal. It's not It's just not the color. It's just not the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Celtic people do have blonde hair. But the question can be, what came first, the Celtic people or the Basque people? And I would say the Basque people came first, just as the good father. So there are people in Spain that have blonde hair. Now, you brought up the question, is the Basque Mari the Christian Mary? The answer is unequivocally no.
I wasn't. I wasn't really going there. I was going there. The Mar means sea or ocean. I was wondering if her head was the sun, but her name was the water. So she was that was the representation of everything.
Yeah. Well, I would say that the Basque Mari is being associated with fire, and that the light-colored hair is.
So Mari does not mean sea or water in the Basque language.
It definitely doesn't mean soup.
Okay. Fair enough, but actually, the Virgin Mary was a very good question as well, and I would have gotten there. So we answered 2 in 1.
When Christian missionaries first tried to evangelize the Basque, they put the two together, and the Basque said, "No, that's not what this is.
Right?
That's not what." And because in Basque tradition, it's not patriarchal. In Christian tradition, God is the Almighty God is a male, Jesus is a son, and Mary is a saint, but Mary is second to Jesus.
The second.
Whereas in the Basque tradition, Mary is matriarchal. She is the highest in the order of the gods. And in Basque tradition, either the eldest son, or the daughter will inherit the house, who then becomes the legal representative to the local community.
Not unusual in a lot of the older religions for them to be matriarchal.
That is a good point. That's a good point. And we're going to delve deeper into that subject as we move forward. Mary had 2 daughters, not 2 sons, 2 daughters. One is Ilagi, the moon, and the other is Izuki, the sun.
Well, there goes my golden hair as the sun theory.
Yeah, yeah. But so what's going on here is that Mary is part of this reality. Everything she does and everything she creates is a part of their world. Mary is the protector of the Basque people. She has agents, but she is the protector of the Basque people. And she punishes those who disobey moral and social norms.
Is she a representation of everything, or is she sort of like birth, life, death, or birth, life, rebirth? You know, is she sort of like a Freya, Aphrodite cycle of life one, or is she more of a all-powerful creator goddess?
She is the axle hole in the middle of the wheel.
Okay, so she's more of an everything.
Springs from her.
She's not like the Mother Maiden and Crone or anything. She's the one. She's L.
She's the one, and from her comes other.
Okay.
Now Mary, one can actually find Mary. She exists. She exists in the physical reality, and when she's commonly found around certain mountains, not all mountains, but certain mountains. And when clouds appear around the mountain Amboto in the Basque country, one says that Mary has returned. And not only has she returned, but she returned to the cave in the mountain. So going back to the Good Father, everything is named corresponding to a reality. Mary enters a cave, and the cave exists. You can go travel to that cave. This is the cave of the lady, the cave of Mary. This exists.
I always want to know why goddesses want to live in caves and mountains, but that's probably unimportant for the purposes of this conversation.
Oh, it is important. We're not there yet. We're moving ahead. There's another place that Mary can be found at a mountain, or a cave in a mountain, at the mountain Chindoki. In Basque, TXI is pronounced as Ch, so it's Chindoki. And that's in the Basque country as well. And one can enter Mary's cave, Marizolo, in Chindoki, in the Basque country. This is a real place that you can enter, and you can encounter Mary at the right times of the year when the clouds come in, that sort of stuff.
Wow, none of these words sound even remotely Spanish, which is not surprising since Basque is an isolate. Is Basque really not related to any other languages anywhere? It's not related to Papua New Guinea or, Olmec or...
I'm going to answer that question. It's an interesting question. The Basque people say that it's an isolate. It's an isolate from Indo-European languages.
Okay.
However,
it's not an isolate unto itself.
It's not an isolate from Anatolian languages.
Oh, okay. Now we're getting something.
Yeah, that gets interesting.
Yeah.
So Chin, in fact, you asked this at the right time, because I have studied both Basque and Anatolian languages.
Ooh.
How many guests have... I'm not going to say I studied like I took a class, but I've actually read books. I've studied this question. In Doki has really no meaning, just means place. But Chin in let's say Turkish or Armenian language. Turkish, Chin in Armenian means bad. So the direct translation of Chindoki would be bad place.
Oh, so the cave is the portal to hell? Is that where we're going? On the underworld?
Well, that would be the translation for someone who's Armenian.
I love me some caves to the underworld. I mean, sign me up.
That would be the Armenians, but that would not be the Basque, because Mary is a good person. Mary is all giving, all loving. She's the force of...
I mean, isn't one of the big things about Armenia is that the angel Armin, which means noble, is buried under one of the biggest mountains in Armenia? Is Mount Armin, I think it is?
I don't know that.
I mean, obviously the angel Armin would be post-Christianity, or no, not necessarily. At least post Judaism, but something where you had angels with names. And I know Armin, or I've been told Armin basically means the same thing as Iran or Aryan in the not Nazi way, but Iranic peoples. But I've been told by an Armenian that Armenian simply means noble, and so Armenia is the noble land. And so the angel being named noble would, probably wouldn't be bad. But then again, Lucifer means the bright one, and he's not considered so good.
So I will say this. The most likely scenario is that when agriculture came from Turkey or the Armenian Plateau across Eurasia, the language came with it. And that was 7,000 years ago. And words set in among the Basques. I'm not convinced that the words traveled from the Basque to the Armenians. Now, there is a guy that wrote a book in his presentation on the subject. He shows how the Armenian scholars are saying that Basque overlaps with the simple words, so the natural words in their language. And I can hook you up. I'll send you his link.
Sure. Thanks.
Interesting guy. So the most likely scenario, in Bernie's mind, which is not all-knowing, is that the language came from the Armenian Plateau, across Eurasia with agriculture, and set in the Basque country. When the Indo-European languages surrounded the Basque country, those words were lost. That's what I would say. We can do a completely different another presentation on, is there a match between Göbekli Tepe pillars and the Upper-Pelican cave art?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Another presentation. Okay. We're going back to Marizolo. Marizolo means the cave. Mary's cave in Chindoki in the Basque country, which you can visit if you are, you don't have to be a mountain climber, but you've got to be in significantly good shape. But it's a place that you can visit.
That rules me out.
Now, there's an interesting perspective on the Basques. The Basques have historically been at odds with the Catholic Church. And when General Franco, had his revolution, which he won, his coup that he won, the Basque became consumed by Catholicism. But going long back in time, the Inquisitions that you've heard of in the past in Spain were mostly in Basque country. So there's a history of a rift or a conflict between the Basque and Catholicism. Now, the Basque, they believe in witches. They own it.
Can I do one more extraneous, possibly completely unrelated and ill thought out parallel? But it sounds like their situation with the church and being sort of an isolate in Europe sounds a little bit like, I know you're not supposed to use this term any longer, but I'm going to use it because everyone knows what it means. I mean, it sounds a little bit like the situation of the gypsies. So persecuted, have a different religion, maybe looked a little bit different than most of their neighbors, spoke a little bit different, and didn't want to bend the knee to give up their traditions and religions, and found a sort of a place to live, in a mountain range that was filled with bad places to maybe to keep others out. Is there any parallel, or am I just
That's probably a very good parallel. I would say so. Now, if you go to the Basque country, near a town called Navarre, a region called Navarre, you can go to the Sorganen, Leze, which is the cave of witches.
Ooh.
At this cave of the witches, Mary meets with her consort, Sugar, on the night of the Aquilari, the witch meeting, where there's currently a court of the Sorganen, the witches. You can today, at the right time and the right place, go to this cave. This is a real thing. The Basque word Aquilari means the field of the he-goat, as well as witches' Sabbath. Francisco de Goya did a brilliant painting of this. And Francisco de Goya was a very controversial Spanish painter. He painted the Spanish people and the Basque people as they are. He painted the Catholic Church as they are. He played all sides of the whole thing. But yes, this actually exists. And the summer solstice fire at the Cave of the Witches.
Well, we can't just brush over a couple of things. First of all, her consort Sugar. I know this is a coincidence and it's phonetic, but it's spelled Sugaar, so it's basically sugar. So her consort was a sugar daddy or mommy. I don't know if it was a man or a woman.
It's like Sugar. It's not sugar. Sugar.
But it's spelled close enough for a 15-year-old brain like mine. And the other thing is the he-goat. I mean, come on, the goats always, getting this reputation as to being like the consorts of witches and whatnot. And, we sort of, did it start with Basque? Is the Basque where the goat thing started, or was that an import? Is the he-goat bad? Is he neutral? Is he good? I mean, what's going on with...
We're gonna give it another few minutes. We're gonna get there.
Okay.
First, as I said,
sorry to doubt you. Sorry.
Fire.
I ask questions.
You can go to the Cave of the Witches, and you can witness witches in action. They own this. The Basques are owning this. They're saying that this is our heritage. In the same way that the Native Americans still in the Lakotas holds sun dance ceremonies, which they were prohibited doing for many years. They've gone back to doing that, saying this is who we are. This is what we do. And there's actually a Cave of the Witches in the same area. So I'm sorry, not a cave. There's a museum of the witches in the same area. They have witches' brooms and goat tags and all that sort of stuff. You can go this. They own it, just as the same way that the Native Americans own their traditions today. Now, Mary, going back to Mary and Sugar, they're not devils, which is what the Catholic Church said they were. After they couldn't sell them on, Mary became same as Mother Mary, they became Catholic Church told no devils. That didn't work out so well. So Mary, Sugar appears with Mary. They come together. And they travel together with the hail, when the hail falls. An interesting concept. Now, Sugar is derived from two words. Neither of them are sugar. One is Suge, which means serpent, and R, which means male. So Sugar means male serpent.
Even better.
As opposed to sugar.
I'm going to stick with my theory that male serpent somehow translated into sugar daddy 3,500 years later.
Okay, I'll buy it.
Sure, why not?
But either way, sugar is from two words, serpent and male. Thus, he's a male serpent.
Fantastic.
He's the consort of Mary. Important concept. Sugar is the disciplinary of misbehaving children. You can imagine people telling sugar stories to the children so that they do their homework or do the chores, all that sort of stuff.
I mean, I'm sorry, no one else could see this, but if they did, there was a picture of a snake with a toddler. Now, if you gave that toddler a bow instead of what looked like a pencil or a stick, it could have been a picture of Apollo and Python.
So, well, we're going to get there. We're going to get there pretty soon, that's for sure. So, sugar is associated with...
Listen, right now I've got a PSA. Folks, do not do a shot every time Bernie says we're going to get there. You'll be dead.
That's right. Exactly. Could be a drinking game every time Bernie says we'll get there.
No, don't do that, or at least listen to the show over several days.
Okay, got it. So sugar is associated with storms and thunder, which again is an extension of Mari. Now you brought up a good topic just 2 minutes ago, and I said we'll get there. Jeff, you are on the crest of the wave as we travel through Basque mythology.
I am a surfer.
Gods with the power of lightning and thunder. We have the Basque Sugar, we have the Greek Zeus, and we have the Roman Jupiter. There's some parallels there, isn't there?
Seems like it, yeah.
It seems like it, except for one difference.
Serpent.
Oh, well, not just the serpent.
Well, also the boss is the
Basque is matriarchal.
Right.
The Basque is matriarchal. Mary is the hierarchical deity, and Sugar is the subordinate consort deity. Whereas among the Greeks and the Romans, Zeus and Jupiter are the hierarchical deities, and Hera and Juno are the subordinate consort deities.
Yeah, and usually the serpent is a woman.
So very interesting. So the Basque mythology is not an extension of Greco-Roman mythology. Basque mythology comes from a different root.
And that root is...
Agreement now, right, Jeff?
I'm certainly sounds that way, sure.
Well, this is what the Good Father said. The Good Father told a story or shared a narrative of the Basque that was not in line with Christian teachings.
No, not at all. But very much with a lot of African and some older proto-Indo-European religions, I guess you'd call them.
I don't know. Now, there's another deity that's an extension of Mary. It's Ode. Ode is the storm cloud or an agent of thunder. An extension of Mari. And Ode is in the common vernacular. So if you say it's stormy weather, that would be Ode Dago. When you travel to the Basque country, it's stormy weather. Jeff, you will say Ode Dago. And people will say, oh my God, Jeff, you know Basque people. You understand who we are. And when it thunders strongly, Ode Asavea. Going back to the Good Father, everything is named corresponding to a reality. There's no differentiation between the words and the reality of the elements, physical or meteorological.
So it's like Helios is sun and
exactly.
Demeter is moon. Maybe it's not Demeter. I'm not sure.
Now, there's an interesting concept that I've been working on for years before I was working on Basque mythology, and it sort of led me to Basque mythology. There are characters in Upper Pelican Caves that do not correspond to the long list of horses, ibex, bovines, whatever. Okay? And these are clearly spiritual characters. And one character is in the Las Monedas cave that is in Cantabria, Spain, which is next to the Basque country.
Okay.
So sometime in the distance past, one would imagine that the Basque, what we call Basque country today, was wider and included Cantabria.
Right. Today's borders and limits were not yesterday's borders and limits.
And one can visit the Las Monedas cave. It takes a little planning to do. And on a panel in the Las Monedas cave, so-called the panel of the Basques, there's this unusual character. And he has sort of fireish hair, and he has a long outstretched right arm, and there's a mask at one end of his hand, and there's a character, this elven character with a mask in front of its face. It's a fascinating portrayal. And now what's more interesting about this panel is above the arm of the outstretched character. It looks like a mountain. Not only does it look like a mountain, but it is identical to Chindoki. Remember Chindoki before?
Sure.
I said that Mary visits the cave of Marizola?
Yeah. The bad place.
So one could ask the question, did the Basques carry down this mythology through their spoken stories? Or did they go to the caves to find this mythology?
Well, that is similar to some of the other, I'm not going to say conclusions, but hypotheses that you've had before, that which is the chicken or the egg? Did the people make the stories to match the art, or did the art match the stories? Assuming there's not a 35,000 year straight line, which is unlikely. I mean, but not impossible. I mean, I guess we could never really prove either.
So now I've been to the Lost Most Cave, and there is another panel that I don't have a photo of, and nobody in Spanish or
hold on a second. I just came up with something, because I think we actually can disprove it. Because wasn't there a time, like within the last 10,000 years or 30,000 years, where like the world was down to like 2,000 humans, and they were all in like northeast or northwest, northeast Africa? So it would have to be that the stories, the art pre-existed the myth. People would have to have rediscovered it. If I had my timing right, I could be off by tens of thousands of years.
It is a question, Jeff. A very good question. So I've been to Las Morenas Cave, and not only is there's one panel, but there's a second panel that has the exact same depiction. In that panel, there will never be a photo taken of that, because this is not good Catholic Spanish archaeology, government, and anything else. This flies in the face of what everybody would have thought. Now, there's another panel in another cave in the same mountain. And it's in actually, it's not the same mountain. It's about 30 miles to the east. 30 miles to the east.
Is this the Pyrenees or the French Alps, or where are we?
So we are now west of the Pyrenees. We're now about 60 miles west of the Pyrenees.
Okay.
So we're in the second page. It's called the El Pindal Cave, and I've been here as well. And in the El Pindal Cave, we have another character coming around the same sort of side of the image as we saw in the Las Monedas Cave. And this character has a fiery head. It's got an open mouth. But this one kind of snakes around it, which is very different from the Las Monedas one, which has this clearly human-like body. This one snakes around. So is this character the Basque Ode, or is this character the Basque Sugo?
I don't know. It looks more like
a snake to me than it does as human. But
yeah. And also, I'm not sure that it's fiery head. It might be like spikes, like, on Godzilla's back.
Could be spike, yeah. What's interesting about this, it's the same mountain. Chindoki is depicted in the same way. What's fascinating about Chindoki, it looks like an elephant or a mammoth. It just naturally looks that way. People still go to visit Chindoki to marvel at the mountain, just as someone would go to, Mount Washington up in New Hampshire.
Right. For people who can't see it and don't look at pictures, so most of the mountain is sort of in scapes of green and tan, but at the top peak, it's a gray, and there's sort of like a layer where it goes gray all the way straight down, in contrast to sort of like your greenish tans. So it does look like sort of like that mammoth peak of a head and a long trunk going down the same color gray. And there's like a sharp gorge sort of there where a hind leg might, separate the head from the body. And I guess if you wanted to, you could see that maybe as the horn of a mammoth, but it looks like a hind leg to me. But anyway, I guess
either way.
Yeah, either way.
either the Ode or the Sugar character coming around the same side of the mountain that is Chindoki.
Indeed, yeah. And I see this picture also, and maybe I'm suffering some pareidolia, but all the spots and some of the natural, it almost looks like this is a lizard.
Another day, another subject, Jeff. That is definitely another day subject that we're not here doing today.
All right.
But we can continue through the Basque mythology. Because there are other characters besides Mary and besides Sugar and besides Ode.
Yeah, the green man over here.
And there's a green man he's called the Lord of the Forest, or the Basahun. So the J in Basque becomes like a Basahun. And he gives shouts in the mountains when storms are approaching to alert the sheep herders. So again, he's connected to the mountains and storms. And he looks around pens to ward off wolves. Now, the Basahun is a fascinating character because it's said that before humans had agriculture, farming, blacksmithing, the Basahun had them. And they were transferred to the humans through their the Basque trickster, San Martin Chiqui. San Martin Chiqui was the intermediary. So right around, okay, Jeff, here's your moment. Who is the Basque trickster San Martin Chiqui associated with?
Well, I mean, he looks like Dionysus.
No, we're not looking. The storyline. Let's go to the storyline.
Osiris, Apollo, Loki.
Who brought agriculture and blacksmithing from the gods to the people?
Oh, well, that would be Hephaestus who brought the blacksmithing. Well, Prometheus, I think, actually brought it to people.
Of course. Okay. So the San Martin Chiqui character is very similar to Prometheus, who brings fire to mankind, and who is ultimately saved or liberated by Hercules. So it's a very similar mythological character. So which came first? The Basque mythology or the Greek mythology?
Damned if I know.
Basque mythology clearly is about the very basic, the Basahun, who has these abilities of blacksmithing and agriculture, is very basic, okay? And what he brings them, I would say it's an earlier story than the Prometheus story. That's my bias, if you will. Now there are other characters, many other characters in Basque mythology. So it's a beyond 25-minute story, isn't it? There's the Tartalo, which is what we would call a cyclops, or the Greco-Romans would call a cyclops. And very interesting about the Tartalo is that, so he's a one-eyed character, but he kidnaps young people, and he roasts and eats them in his cave. And there's the cave, you can find his cave. It's the Tartalo Chichia. It's on Mount Sadar in Sagama, Basque country. So one could go to the cave to visit, to see where the Tartalo has roasted young people in a cave. Now, Jeff, as a man of mythology, who does this sound like?
Well, the Cyclopses did, in fact, were cannibalistic. And there was in Homer's The Odyssey, there was it says right there, Polyphemus was his name. And he was the sheep herder, but very, very happy to eat people as well.
Exactly. There's a common story. Now, when we first started off, we said...
giants love people. We know that. Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman.
Now, in Homer's narrative, people will say very different things happen in different places. But nobody's saying that the Cyclops Island was in Iberia. This is a story that is not where Homer says it is, but it is in a different place. This is in Iberia. Whereas the land of the dead could be, it's whether it's the east or the west coast of Iberia, it's Iberia. So the Cyclops is a story. So where does the Cyclops originate from? Does it originate from Homer? Or is it an indigenous Basque myth? Because the Basque have a place where their Tartalo lived and roasted people and ate them. It's a true place one can visit. Whereas in Homer's Odyssey, some people say it's this island, some people say it's that island, but the Basque have an actual reality to the place. Now there are other characters among the Basque. There's the Hentilak, which is plural. It means the Basque giants. Now, in Basque tradition, the Hentilak are 10 to 15 feet tall. 10 to 15 feet tall. Keep that in mind in your head. Okay. Is that really a tall person, or is that a giant?
I'd say that's more than a tall person.
Okay, well, that's I looked it up. The tallest person known or measured in modern times is this fellow named Robert Wadlow, a.k.a. Alton Giant in the USA. And he died in 1940, and he was 8'11" tall.
Yeah, I think there was some guy in China that was like 9'1" that recently died, but still.
So the
some guy.
The Hentilak are giants; they're not tall people. That defines it.
Yeah.
People say, "Well, they're tall people," and they're not. Well, as one can imagine, the Hentilak live in caves, and one can go visit the cave. There's they're called the Hentilcoba, and one can visit the Hentilcoba in the Basque country of Spain. These are real places that one can visit. It's reality.
Do we find anything in the caves that indicates there were 15-foot tall, like Bigfoots?
Well, there's nothing left now, but who knows what there was in the past? No,
like mirrors on the wall, or paintings that they have framed, or dinner tables fit for humans to be served. I mean, not to sit.
The Catholics probably stole them.
Oh, right, the Jesuits. Dun dun dun. The priest special forces, the Jesuits.
The Hentilak are believed to be the builder of stone circles.
Of course.
And there are stone circles, sort of like little stone hinges you can go visit in Spain. And one is called the Hentilbarrets. And they're on both sides of the pyramids, both the Spanish and the French side. One can do that. There's also the Hentilak are also believed the builder of dolmens, and one can visit dolmens, the Hentilari, in the Basque country.
What's a dolmen?
Well, dolmen are you see them all over Celtic country in Scotland.
So the dolmen are the two side stones and the capstone on top, like the pie.
The thing which is the large capstone.
Right. Okay. As opposed to just
it makes sense.
Rocks that are vertical.
Who else but giants could carry these large stones?
No, well, demons, if you believe in Solomonic magic.
But we, on this program today, we believe in
giants, not demons.
Having its own reality.
Okay.
So the Hentilak, it makes complete sense. The Hentilak, one would name the dolmens after the Hentilak because they built the dolmens.
Makes perfect sense.
Now there's another being in Basque mythology. It's Akche, and it's spelled Aatxe. Remember, the TX is ch, so it's Akche, the red bull, and it's directly translated as a young bull. Now the red color is an interesting concept because there are no red bulls in Spain. It's not a thing. The Spanish fighting bulls, you can go look at them on TV or Google it. They're not red. American bison isn't red, so in the past there were bison in Spain, but they weren't red. But there are images of red bulls in Spain. And they are in the Spanish caves, especially the Spanish cave of Altamira, which again, where you can't visit the cave, but you can visit a replica of the Altamira cave, and it's a very well done replica. And these are very famous. They're bison, and then there's some oryx, and they're always most of them are depicted as the color red. So does the Aceh, the red bull, come from something in the reality of the people, the Basque people, and the environment, or did they pull it from an up until like the cave?
I don't know. Is there any reality? Is there any extinct bovine that seemed to have red fur? Would we even know?
Well, they're a bison. The bison don't have red fur.
No, they're brown, dark brown. Clearly, and you can drive through Texas and see, a dozen different kinds of cows and bulls. But I don't remember seeing any red ones. But I don't remember not seeing any red ones either. I mean,
now if one goes to many caves in Franco-Iberian area, see the cave art or look at Wikipedia, they're not red. Other than Altamira, they're not red. There's very few that are.
I know yaks aren't. I know musk oxen aren't. I know there's albino ones, which are absolutely gorgeous.
So I would say, in my limited Basque wisdom, is that the Basque were pulling from Altamira cave. And that's where that is one impression. That's one impression of where they came, the Red Bull. The other Red Bull concept that I've considered is that in the constellation Taurus, we have a bull.
Well, sure.
In a completely another discussion, they knew Taurus as a bull. That's another presentation we can do. And the eye of Taurus was a giant orange star. So perhaps it derives from there.
Isn't the eye of Taurus the Pleiades, or is that the other eye of Taurus?
Well, the Pleiades, the Pleiades is an asterism of a group of stars within the constellation Taurus.
Okay, so it's not the eye; it's somewhere else.
It's somewhere else, but the concept is you're on the right concept. And
astrologically speaking, I'm on the right path.
You're on the right path.
I'm in the right constellation. If I was Captain Janeway, it would not have been my worst mistake.
Ache, the Red Bull, is the enforcer of Mary's will. So again, we're going back to these are all extensions of Mary. And as you can imagine, inhabits caves, according to the map. And according to what the Good Father wrote down as well. This is not what people normally discuss in Basque society today.
This is also not your father's bull. I mean, bulls are not known to inhabit, they're in meadows. They're not in caves. They're leading herds. But this bull has two tails as well. So does this bull also eat human children, or is that just the Cyclops?
The bull is an enforcer of the whip. The bull, Ache, does not eat children.
Okay, so the bull would not either by extension.
Exactly. So Ache makes people stay home to keep them safe. Now, Ache you can find in popular fantasy novels and video games. So people Google AATXE, they'll find Ache in video games.
Oh, okay.
It's a thing. Interesting, okay, goes back to the concept we have Hercules capturing the Cretan bull.
Yep.
And we have the Theseus and the Minotaur.
Yes, we do.
We have bulls in narratives of stories.
Sure, bulls are everywhere. Bulls, one of the heads of the cherubim, right? One of the faces.
So we have these. It's a fascinating concept that they exist.
Yeah, bulls are badass in all sorts of mythologies.
So what is a myth? What is a myth? A worldview of a people to explain a practice, belief, or natural phenomena. So these are myths. These are myths.
Yes, but my friend Professor John F. White would make you add in that involves something sacred or godlike in it, which is the distinction between myth and folklore or legend.
So the numinous or the luminous, I would agree with that, yeah, for sure. Now Jung, who we discussed in our first session many moons ago, he said there's a monument founded through archetypal characters in our psyche. And common, non-organic characters, archetypal characters in dreams are mountains and lakes. We found a few mountains so far, didn't we?
We sure did. Yeah.
And Jung found this, he observed this through the study of more than 80,000 dreams. He also found common animal archetypes are the elephant, the bull, and snakes. Interesting. Now, I can take you through bears and up and probably the cave art among the Basques as well. The Basques believe they descend from bears. They believe that the first being among them was the bear. So we're going to add bears to this list too. That's another conversation for another day.
Okay.
But elephants have horns, bulls have horns. From a conceptual standpoint, if you look at the night skies, constellation Taurus, it's the same thing. And snakes. So it's very interesting that the Basque have these common archetypes in their mythology.
Indeed.
Fascinating concept. And of course, Jungians say, do we have dreams or do dreams have us? Which ties very much into this Basque mythology that the Good Father recorded, contrary to Christian Catholic belief, which put him into exile for most of his adult life.
Who, Jung?
Recording with the Good Father.
The Father, right.
He was exiled for his beliefs or his study of the Basque people, direct recording of their ethnography, which closely parallels what Jung said. So, mythical Iberian, we're heading towards Halloween. Who are the monsters? Who are the ghosts? Are they the Hentilak? Are they Mara? Are they Ode? Are they Sugar? Are they Axte? Are the Basahun? Are they the monsters? Or are the monsters the cadre of General Franco that sought to completely distinguish all these great mythological characters that we see today, such that the Good Father recorded for posterity? Who are the monsters, Jeff? Who are the monsters?
It's always the humans. Humans stink.
It's the humans. Well, it's not just the humans, but it's there are good humans.
Sure.
There are bad humans. And General Franco was a really bad human, as we see through the image of Guernica.
I mean, the Cyclops who eats kids probably isn't that great a guy either.
No, okay, but the Tartalo was, he probably was.
The other giants, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot on them, on what they did other than being big and live in caves. So the jury's out on them. I mean, the bull seemed to be a friend. Mari seemed to be good. Sugar Daddy, he seemed to be pretty good as well.
They're not the monsters. So if this comes out on or around Halloween, the monsters are not the Basque characters. There's witches there. Let's put it there. There's witches, and there's giants, and all these sort of characters. They're not the monsters. The monsters were on Team Franco.
There's not even really a ghost. I mean, unless you count the extension clouds as a ghost, or the bull that keeps you inside as a ghost or a spirit. I mean, you could call anything a ghost if you want to, but I didn't really hear a lot of ghosts either. But I think it's cool. I think it's a cool panoply. Yes, there are definitely similarities, but you can always find similarities if you want to. But there's interesting differences as well, and obviously things sort of borrow from each other just by people swapping stories, or everyone came from Atlantis, or whatever version of that you want.
So Jeff, what came first, the Odyssey or the Basque mythology? Homer's mythology, the Odyssey. What do you think? Deep down.
I don't think Homer invented anything. So the mythology was definitely there first. Whether it was Basque or somewhere else, I mean, here's what I don't know. I'm very much of the bias that everything that we sort of understand that comes from astrology is sort of rooted somewhere in the giant delta between Russia, Ukraine, into India, then straight across through Egypt. But that doesn't mean that when the Mediterranean, was much shallower and it was much easier to cross, that people didn't cross into what we now call Iberia and Southern Europe first, and then draw those paintings first, and then people migrated west. I'm sort of geographically bound to geography today as we understand it, even if with extensions of shorelines by a few hundred or a few thousand feet in any direction. So I'm going to go with something Indus Indus, Caspian, Euphrates came first, and everything came from that. But I very much could be wrong. I think that there were like probably 2 or 3 major stories that are probably from like West, Central, and East Africa, and they had some overlaps over tens of thousands of years, and some of those morphed and sort of spilled over, and whoever came first and survived and learned how to paint first, that's it. But I think the stories are even older than Asia and Europe being populated is. But I base that on nothing. I base that just on my supposition. I have no science to base that on. I have no studies to base that on.
But you've seen things today that you couldn't have imagined. You've seen, next time you hear a storm, you see the storm, you say, oh, Diago.
I guess I could. Indeed. No, I think this is really cool. I did not, I knew nothing about Basque mythology. And by the way, Mike Hillier, who we referenced earlier, he's a geopolitics guy. So his 15 or 20 minute presentation on the Basque would be about Franco and sort of the geopolitics of it. He wouldn't get into mythology. That's not his thing. But yeah, this is much more fits into the garden universe. And yeah, no, thank you for introducing me to all this and showing, well, people on the audio can't see it, but I mean, he mentioned a couple times, but Bernie actually is someone who visits these caves. He's gone to a lot of these caves. He's seen all these things on the walls. And actually, if you listen to the older shows, he's actually had some like pretty magnificent insights, and even if you don't agree with them, they're really interesting. And I had a little supposition they looked into and might have found an agreement there. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You have to listen to all the shows, at least with Bernie on it, to find out for yourself. But yeah, no, you always bring something new and interesting to the table. But more than that, you bring facts and information and pictures of the actual paintings that, I mean, at least in one case, the cave painting was dated back to, what was it, 34,500 years?
Yeah, 34,000.
Which that's old by human history. I mean, until they figure out whether those skulls that are 1 million years old were really humans and they were successful and had a society or not. That's the oldest human art on a surface that we know of. I mean, I think wasn't that statuette of like the Lion Man? Isn't that dated a little bit older?
Germany, yep.
Yeah.
That's about 40,000 years old.
Yeah, so the world's a fascinating place. People were always interesting. And I'm sorry I called everyone bad. The humans are bad and said humans are suck. I'm in a grumpy mood about humanity lately. But what would you expect from a guy who had a show called Garden of Doom, who only reluctantly changed it to Garden of Thought? So I mean, it's on brand, right? Anyway, Brian, where can people find and follow you? It looks like you have some things coming out, some presentations, and I know you've got a channel.
Well, I have lots of stuff from the past. I have lots of YouTube videos. You go to beforeorion.com. Beforeorion.com. That is the portal into another dimension. And from there, you can find my academic review or ResearchGate. You can go to YouTube, beforeorion.com, spelled out as one word. I'm on X/Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the whole group of social media places. But beforeorion.com is a portal to enter. You can see lots of videos. You can see lists of podcasts. You can decide how deep do you want to go, because some of this stuff can be pretty scary.
Yeah, and you are people hire you to give presentations at various forums. I mean, so yeah, this is a thing. This is a real thing.
Fun stuff.
Yeah,
and we will do it again, Jeff. We will find another topic that enlightens the masses.
Didn't you say something about Göbekli Tepe and Basque art and maybe others? And there'll be some. You're always going to introduce others, but yeah, whatever you want. You suggest a topic, I almost always say yes. I mean, I haven't said no yet, so I've always said yes. Anyway, so if Bernie, I'm going to need you to think about what you want the outro song to be to this show. And while you're thinking about this, I'm going to welcome anybody who's a new listener because you listened to some prior shows or because you follow Bernie here and you hadn't come before. Thank you and welcome. If you just subscribe to Garden of Thought on really any of your major podcast providers, you'll get 2 to 3 shows a week. Some will be like this. Some will be a little bit more, legal or business or science or general interest. And then I've got my little fun little side show that I do where I co-host a show with a little cavalcade of professional wrestlers. Usually it's Mr. Thomas from MLW, but occasionally it's been Akira Kwan, also from Major League Wrestling. Used to be PJ Black, who most people know as Justin Gabriel from WWE. And there's been a couple of other guest hosts. And since I'm doing this, we're doing this on Sunday the 19th, though it'll probably drop later. Tomorrow night, and I feel confident enough about it because it's less than 24 hours away, I have booked as a guest the current Major League Wrestling World Champion, Mads Atrocity Kruger. Mads Kruger, the MLW champion, my first sitting world champion as a guest. So this is very exciting for me and for everybody. We've had former world champions. We've had Tyrus, the former NWA champion. We've had EC3, the former Impact world champion. So, indie champions from around, but not a sitting world defending world champion. So exciting stuff. So you got here at exactly the right time. And by now, you should have come up with a song.
Monster Mash.
Monster Mash.
Not being the Basque characters, the array of them that we just...
No, just being Halloween-y. Just being Halloween-y.
Franco and Friends.
Franco
and Friends. Franco with Rome and Berlin. The true monsters. The real Og and Magog. So there you go. All right. We're going to get some Monster Mash, so a little frivolity. And by the way, also do some stuff on the Wrestling Soup if you like wrestling. So anyway, Bernie, thanks so much for being here. Folks, you're going to hear one of my favorite songs as a youth. There was a fabulous cartoon that came out every Halloween with monsters, yes, having a Halloween party and dancing. And if that doesn't sound good to you, I got 2 words for you and I ain't going to say them. Bernie, until next time. Thanks, Jeff.
Since I've been on
Thank
the
you.
right game for 52 odd years, I invited a new crew to spread spooky cheer. The first to arrive was Dr. Hannibal Lecter. He brought his own date and he seemed to respect her. They hit the dance floor with a jive and a jitter. Then he ripped off her face. He's pulling out her liver.
That's really gross.
Oh my God, what just happened?
He ate her face.
Yes, I know. I saw.
Speaking of saw,
I like to play disgusting games.
he broke his jaw.
That is way too graphic. I'm going to faint. Surely all the other guests won't be this rude. Like this classic monster, a scary hip dude. He's got a kooky style and a spooktastic look. Oh my God, he just hung the waiter on a meat hook. Why?
He's Leatherface.
He's cutting him up with a chainsaw.
It's what he does.
Who is Freddy Krueger?
He haunts your dreams.
Ooh, he sounds like a real spooker.
I murder teens. You can't escape me, bitch.
Language. In my day, the monsters would just give you a spook. Nowadays, it seems they all just want to make you puke. Ah, the human centipede. That sounds like a hit. Wait, the ones in back have to eat the front one's shit? Enough! The party's over. Everybody out. You all have no idea what Spooktober is about. Here comes the Wolfman. He'll show you how it's done. He knows how to be creepy, but he always keeps it fun. No! That was my friend. Why did he meet such a horrifying end? Is it too much to ask to have some monsters dance? It's really quite a hoot if you give it half a chance.
This guy won't let it go. I think it's rather sad. Guys, I feel guilty.
And I also feel bad. Let's give him a couple moves. It's the least we can do.
Okay, places, everybody. And a 1, and a 2.
Look at us dance.
You did the monster dance?
Hey, look, jazz hands.
Don't twist too fast.
First goes her smash. Oh, great. It's the girl from the ring.
Her heart is black.
Ooh, she really knows how to swing.
I wouldn't look directly at her face if I were you.
Ooh. Oh, well, we tried.
He died doing what he loved. monster choreography. Hey guys, I know a game we could play. Guys, anyone? No?
The Key of Awesome. Thanks for watching The Key of Awesome. If you want to see all the other Key of Awesomes, click on the link in the description below.
And if you like this video, share it.
And if you want us to parody another song, let us know which one.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Subscribe.